Right, this is my second attempt at recording this video because the first time I tried to record it, my lord, I was far. I just finished watching season 2 of The Witcher. Full spoilers ahead, folks. Full on spoilers, probably a lot of cursing as well because I'm so angry about that finale. I am so mad. I started what right? Start from the beginning. Season 2. I thought the majority of the first 7 episodes were mostly decent television. I thought, okay, this is mostly good. In general, it is better than season 1 was, okay? There are definitely huge changes from the books. This is not Blood of Elves. This is not anything like what the Blood of Elves book was. There are some of the characters, sure. There are some similarities in plotlines, sure. But this is not an adaptation of Blood of Elves. This is not an adaptation. It's not faithful at all. This is not faithful. So if you're someone who is looking for a faithful adaptation of source material, this is not for you. And that is made perfectly clear in this season. It is, and as in regards to being an adaptation of the books, it is awful, okay? But if you can separate these two things, the source material from the TV show, which I have tried to do, and that's why I still got enjoyment out of season 1, then you can have a good time here. And people who haven't read the books or whatever, they're going to really probably enjoy this season. Because I did enjoy a lot of it. I thought it was a decent watch, most of it, for the first 7 episodes. Especially the first episode started out great. I thought, okay, that's a really solid episode. They're adapting Grain of Truth. They're doing this little short story. I thought it was good. Some things I liked from the season. I really liked Dijkstra. I really liked what they were doing with that character. I liked him. I kind of liked I liked where they were going with Cahir. They started giving him a bit more depth, whereas in season 1 he was just a caricature villain. I liked what they were doing with Fringilla as well. It gave a bit more depth to her as well. I also really liked Vesemir. And the other thing I really liked was Jaskier. I really liked what they did with his character in this season, especially compared to the first season. And it was good that we got to see him in different light and get a bit more depth to his character and not just see him as some fool who was getting told by Geralt to fuck off all the time. So those are some things I really liked. As far as things I didn't like, number 1 is Yennefer. This is not Yennefer. This is not Yennefer. And I don't care what anyone says. This is not Yennefer from the books. This is not Yennefer from the games. This is not Yennefer in any sense of the word Yennefer. This is not. It's simply not that character. This is not Yennefer, and it's nothing to do with the person playing her, because I actually think the actress Anya Chalotra, I think she's actually very good. I think she does very well with the material she's been given. But this character, the way it is written, this is not Yennefer of Vingerberg. Simple. That's as simple as that. It's just constantly doing things that this character would never do, never feel, never say, non-stop. And that was the case throughout this entire season. In season 1, there was a little bit of that, but she was all over the place. At some point, she was kind of like Book Yennefer, but there was none of that in this season. She was completely not herself. She was not Yennefer. That is not Yennefer. Next thing I didn't like, and it pulled me out of the show, the immersion, whatever, and I stopped having a good time every single time Ciri was screaming or using some sort of power. It did not translate well on screen what they were trying to do with that. Their effects were absolutely terrible, didn't look very good. It was immersion breaking, and it was very cringeworthy every time Ciri would scream or whatever. It was horrible. I didn't mind her training in Kaer Morhen. That stuff was alright. That was good. That was fine. But when she was doing all this magic, when she's screaming about things, no. Absolutely horrendous. And that leads me on to one of my biggest disappointments of the season, and that was episode 6, called Dear Friend. And there is a letter that is read in Blood of Elves in the book. And if you've read the books, you know about this letter, and it's all about Dear Friend. That's how it starts. And so everyone thinks, okay, we're going into the Dear Friend episode. I'm excited to hear this iconic letter be read on screen. Nope, it's just Geralt referring to Yennefer as, "Hi Ciri, this is Yennefer, my dear friend." And then that episode ends with a very disappointing sequence. The Michelet brothers and Ryans, they have this fight. There's this very famous fight from the book Blood of Elves, and it's a very brutal fight. It's a very well set up fight. It is fantastic. It is one of the best action sequences in all of the books. And it happens in Oxenfurt. In the show, they moved it to the Temple of Melitele. I didn't mind that they moved it. Okay, you're moving things around. I understand. It's an adaptation of source material. No. This action sequence was absolutely horrible. I saw people before, I had read some reviews from people in the media who saw the first 6 episodes early, and they were talking about, oh, it's just as brutal as the Blaviken fight scene from episode 1 in season 1. No. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. This was, okay, maybe it looked a bit brutal because someone gets their tooth knocked out, but it was absolutely horrible. It was not up to the same standard, not up to the same quality. It was comical and immersion breaking. It was awful. The slow-mo effects they're doing in there and this tooth flying out, this obviously like CG tooth flying out of this guy's, it was an awful fight scene, absolutely awful. And I was so upset when I finished episode 6 and saw that, because that was, as I say, one of the best action sequences from any of the books. Such a great moment. I couldn't wait to see it on screen, and no, I was like, fuck this. This is awful. Absolutely awful fight sequence. Aside from that, there wasn't really anything in the first 7 episodes that made me think, oh, I'm so upset watching this. I kind of was really good at keeping them separate, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, I was keeping everything separate in my mind. I'm like, okay, this is their adaptation. They are deviating. I'm going to keep these things separate and just think that way. But I couldn't get over the butchering of the action in episode 6. That was a horrible, horrible fight scene. But anyway, yeah, so the first 7 episodes, as I say, I mostly found enjoyment from them. I thought they were entertaining, yada yada. Then we get to the finale, and folks, up until this point, I'd thought, you know what, Season 2, overall, I would say, is better than Season 1. There are maybe some moments in Season 1 that were a little bit better, but Season 2 overall, it's a much more linear story. Good thing. The whole thing, it was better than Season 1 up until Episode 8. Episode 8 is the worst episode of this television show that I've seen. This is easily the worst episode from either of the 2 seasons. I don't know why it's got such high ratings. When I go look at it on, I use this website tracked.tv to like track what I'm watching and stuff. I don't know why it's got such high ratings on here. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway, this is the worst episode of television I've seen in a while. This is the most butchered episode of television I've seen this year. It is absolutely awful. So basically, this entire episode, there's nothing from the books here. This is completely deviating. It's completely original content, and it's all based on this Voleth Meir character. Voleth Meir is the name of episode 7, and that's an enjoyable episode, mostly. But then we come into episode 8, and it continues over. And Ciri has been possessed by Voleth Meir, and they're all in Kaer Morhen, and suddenly Yennefer's there, and Jaskier's there, and they have this whole get-together, and Ciri is being possessed, and she's murdering other Witchers while she's... Okay, whatever. But we spend literally, I would say, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, like half of this episode, is just Ciri being possessed, standing in Kaer Morhen, just standing there, having a staring contest with Geralt while he says, "You're strong, Ciri, come back to us." Meanwhile, the rest of the Witchers are fighting these really awful-looking CG basilisks coming through a portal. Like, this whole sequence goes on for way too long. I swear to God, it goes on for like half an hour. And it is awful. It is not a good action sequence. It's very cringe-worthy. It goes on for far too long. And none of it matters. It doesn't mean anything. And from there, like, it all comes to, okay, well, Ciri's going to teleport us using this monolith. And, like, they teleport to this other sphere, as they're calling it, like this other reality. And the Wild Hunt show up. And I knew the Wild Hunt were going to show up at one point. I'd seen all these leaks and stuff of the sets and people talking about how the Wild Hunt were going to show up. And I was ready for that. And I didn't mind that they might show up for a little bit of a run along or something. But the way they did this was absolutely horrendous. They appear on like this orangey planet. And the Wild Hunt are galloping with these horrible deep voices. And it's so cringeworthy. It's just horrible. It's really butchered. Anyway, as if this wasn't bad enough, I paused it. I'm sitting here writing almost a review to send to someone on Discord. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? This is an awful episode. I'm really annoyed with how bad this final episode is. There's still 10 minutes left, and I'm typing this comment, and I'm like, okay, put that to the side. I've already decided I hate this episode. And then the way this ends, folks, the way this episode, okay, so Emhyr comes in. We get Emhyr var Emreis. Finally, we get to see the White Flame. We see him. And I understand, okay, there's been a lot of talk about how are they going to deal with Emhyr in the show versus him in the books, because, full spoilers ahead, especially now if you watch the show, Emhyr in the books, it is kind of hinted at, but you never actually know until the very last book, that Emhyr is actually Duny. He is Ciri's father. And he is actually after her because he basically wants to impregnate her because her child is going to be this thing that's going to just change the world, whatever. And And it's a huge reveal in the book. It's the biggest reveal in the books, and it is fantastic. If you don't know beforehand going in, it's not been spoiled for you. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing. It's a fantastic twist. That twist is, they completely butchered that. There's been a lot of talk about how they were going to deal with that, because obviously in the books you don't see a face, so it's easy to not know who it is. Whereas in the show, we've seen Dooney's face, and now they're bringing in Emhyr, so obviously we the viewer, are they going to keep him masked, which they did at the start of the season, sort of like Visions with Fringilla, but are they going to keep him masks in a mask? Or are they going to change the actor? Are they going to change his appearance? Or are they going to just not say anything about it and keep it the same actor and just kind of let you work it out yourself? But no, there is nothing subtle about this at all. Instead, what we have is Emhyr, and he basically gives a whole speech to Fringilla and Cahir, and he says, "I need to find my daughter." That's how the season ends. And it is the most awful butchery I have seen of the source material. I thought they had butchered something more in season 1. I thought they butchered something more when Geralt and Ciri met. I really thought they butchered that. And I wasn't, and I don't think I'll ever get over it, how badly they messed that up, especially not including Brokilon to get to that moment. But I was coming into season 2 with a clear mind, trying to be unbiased, trying to think, okay, I'm going to watch this separate from the source material. But I can't do it. Not when it's this badly butchered. This isn't even just changes from the books. This is literally just bad writing. This isn't because they've changed it and I don't like that they've changed the books, because I was willing to accept that for the first 7 episodes. I was willing to accept, okay, it's a different story. I'm enjoying these episodes regardless. I'll just enjoy the fact that I'm seeing some characters I like on screen. I was dealing with that. But this is literally just awful writing. Absolutely awful stuff, folks. Awful. There's no subtlety at all. The Witcher is a book series filled with really subtle stuff in there. I mean, there's some stuff that's quite on the nose, but a lot of the writing is really, really subtle, and it's really masterfully done by Sapkowski. But then in this show, they have no subtlety whatsoever. There's no grace to this whatsoever. Instead, they just butcher one of the biggest reveals, one of the biggest plot twists in the entire series. Just throw it out there and butcher it. Because even in the books, when people finally find out, okay, well, when it's finally revealed Emhyr's Ciri's father, Ciri isn't actually told that. It's just Geralt on his own. Like, this isn't information that's suddenly made public. Like, the whole thing is he doesn't want everyone to know that Ciri is his daughter, because his plan is he wants to impregnate her and stuff. Like, and he goes to this whole effort of having a fake Ciri who he's going to marry and all the rest of it, because he wants to keep up appearances, and he's not going to... They've just butchered this character. They've butchered Emhyr. They have butchered one of the best, most complex, deep characters in the books. They've done it to Yennefer, and now they've done it to Emhyr, and I'm so mad. I'm so angry after this finale. I keep saying, I was enjoying the season. The first 7 episodes, there were issues, glaring issues, a lot of cringe-worthy moments, but overall I thought it was a decent watch. It was entertaining. And then episode 8 just came along and just crushed everything I was thinking. I'm like, okay, this is not an amazing season of television, but it's decent. People are going to enjoy it. I've enjoyed it. Then episode 8, ruins everything. Just absolutely destroys the rest of the stuff they've done this season. I mean, and sure, I guess maybe they were setting up to that, but folks, I can't put into words how angry is the wrong word. I'm not angry. I'm just so disappointed and so annoyed that they've butchered the series so badly. I was really hopeful for this season. I was really hopeful, and watching the first few episodes, I'm like, yes, okay. They've fixed some of the things that were issues in season 1. They're not doing this timeline thing. They're being a bit more linear. They've got some good characters in here. They're giving more depth to this person, more depth to that character. Not everyone feels so flat anymore. And then they come and they just butcher it. They just butcher it all. And just episode 8, just... Book fans, fuck your hopes and dreams. Fuck you. That's basically what episode 8 was. It was like a fuck you to everyone who enjoyed the source material. It really was. I can't imagine anyone who enjoyed the books actually seeing episode 8 and enjoying it. I mean, episode 8, even without changing the source material, episode 8 was objectively an awful episode of television. Like, even pretend the books didn't exist, pretend the games didn't exist. If episode 8 aired, that is a bad episode of television. It's I swear to God, half of the episode is this CG fight with these nameless monsters just running around in a staring contest between Geralt and Ciri. It's an awful half hour of television, that part. Maybe there's enjoyment in the other parts if you can separate the books or whatever, but That is an awful episode of television. I give most of the other episodes this season probably 6s or 7s. Like, that's how I rate it. I rate like a 6 is a fair, 7's good, I guess. 8 would be great. 5's like a mess. So I'd give most probably around 6, 7. But episode 8, the final episode, I gave that a 2. That was absolutely atrocious. It was terrible. I cannot... I'm going to stop this video. Folks, let me know what you're thinking about this in those comments down below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more Witcher stuff. But let me know what you're thinking about all this down below. And again, watch out for spoilers. I've already spoiled everything in this video, but I can't. I'm going to go rant about this some more with some friends because I'm not over this.